The NBA regular season is over, the playoffs are upon us, and I couldn't think of a better way to kick it off than to catch up with NBA champion, #1 draft pick, and our official tallest dabbler, Andrew Bogut. Andrew Bogut, how are you? You made your playoff debut for the Bucks in 2006 against a veteran Pistons team. What was that like?
It was exactly that. It was a very veteran team. It was a very, very tough team. They were in their peak at that point. You know, Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace, Richard Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince, Chauncey Billups. That group got a championship, not that year, but they got a championship in that run. And they were a well-oiled machine, and we were kind of a young team. We didn't really know what we were at that point. We scraped into the playoffs, and we got one game from them. I think they got us 4-1. And yeah, look, they were just a tough team to beat. I just remember going into Detroit for the first two games, and that place was rocking. The Palace of Auburn Hills, and Rasheed was getting the crowd hyped up, and Ben Wallace doing his thing on the board, and it was a unique experience as a rookie, especially I think one of the only #1 picks to ever make the playoffs their rookie year. I think myself, Tim Duncan, and maybe Magic Johnson. I think it's a pretty small group, so I was pretty fortunate to be, historically, if you go #1, you go to a team that's not winning many games. So I was pretty lucky to be in a playoff battle my rookie year.
Bogues, what are the key differences between the regular season and the playoffs?
There's many differences between the playoffs and the regular season. First and foremost, the rotations generally tighten up much more. So you're playing your best generally at all times. So guys that were fringe minutes generally don't get that much of an opportunity, stay within an 8 or 9 man rotation rather than a 10, 11, 12, which you do in the regular season. There's more rest between games. You don't have any back-to-backs, which is a big factor. A lot more time to scout, so you have a lot more time to prepare for your upcoming playoff opponent, especially after game 1 and 2, because you play each other potentially 7 times, so you end up getting sick of each other and you know each other backwards. So new and unique things sometimes help. The refereeing changes, believe it or not. They definitely let a lot more go. It's much more physical. So the shenanigans of a regular season where guys are drawing fouls and trying to get to the free throw line, it dries up a little bit in the playoffs, becomes much harder to score. And like I said, if you're playing the same team 7 times potentially, after game 3 or 4, you both know each other's sets probably better than you do your own. And you got to kind of come up with unique ways of scoring. And I believe that's why it's vital to have a elite one-on-one scorer on your roster somewhere, Steph Curry or Klay Thompson, for Utah Jazz or Jordan Clarkson, because when it comes down to it, sometimes your offense can be perfect, but you might not get a bucket. But if you have a talented guy, Kevin Durant type, that can get you a bucket, it definitely helps.
Now, Bogues, I know that you love your defense. You led the league in blocks in 2011. I know you're a massive fan. So the old adage, the defense wins big games. Do you think that happens in the playoffs? And especially with recent years, of course, it's become more of an offensive game as well.
I think defense is definitely the key in the playoffs. I think the league's definitely going more towards a free-flowing offensive type game that we see in the regular season. They don't like to have offensive players hinder too much, and they'll definitely protect the offensive player 9 times out of 10 over the defensive player, which you can agree or disagree with. But like I said earlier, in the playoffs, it changes. In the playoffs, you can get away with a little bit more physicality as a defensive player, and I think there hasn't been many teams, I'd have to look up the stat, but that have been poor defensively that have gone into even a conference finals and a finals. So you have to be, generally the formula is top 10 in both. Or if you're one in one area, if you're #1 in offense, you might get away with being maybe 15, 16, but generally a top 10 defensive team is holding a trophy or a championship ring at the end of every season.
So, Bogues, with that in mind, who do you see as the major contenders to come out of both the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference?
Yeah, my major contenders out of the East, look, I think Milwaukee's still the team to beat. I think they're very well structured. Giannis is having another career year, MVP caliber year. I think they've been there before. So I think when you've been there before, the pressure comes off you a little bit. They had turmoil last season with their coach potentially getting fired if they don't win a championship, and then they come out and win a championship. So I think they're definitely a contender. Miami, #1 seed, solid team, but they need to put it all together and get to the finals again like they did in the bubble year. I'm not sold on them completely. I like Milwaukee better. A lot of people have Brooklyn in there through the play-in. I don't think they've played together enough. I think their lineups have been very inconsistent throughout the year. I just don't think they've had that time together enough with their main rotations. So I think that'll be a factor for them, even though I believe they have one of the most talented scorers of all time in Kevin Durant. Out west, I will probably go with the Phoenix Suns. I can't see anyone beating them in a 7-game series if they remain healthy. It looks like they've learned from their mistakes of last season and losing in the finals. They've got a chip on their shoulder. They've got one more year of growth. Devin Booker's taken another leap. Their role players are playing fantastic. Chris Paul's leading by example again. So I think they're the team to beat. I think Golden State, if healthy, which is a big if, have a chance to maybe rattle them. But I still think Phoenix will come out of the West, when it's all said and done.
And what's the best way to find you during the NBA playoffs?
Best way to find me during the NBA playoffs, jump on the Dabble app, download it, get on it. Andrew Bogut, all one word. I'm generally dabbling in some banter in the NBA chat there, and I will be placing some things that tickle my fancy bet-wise. So, I'll give some tips to the punters, sometimes wrong, sometimes right, but just with whatever I'm thinking, I'll put some out there. So yeah, jump on Dabble, Andrew Bogut, all one word. Give me a follow. Like the other, I think I'm at 30,000 now, which is great. I'm continuing to trend up, and hopefully I can help you win some cash.
Cheers, Bogues. Big thank you for joining us today. To join the NBA playoff party, make sure you download the app, and always remember, dabble socially and gamble responsibly.